Hemalata ma'am. So currently she is working as a faculty of information technology in the University of Technology and Applied Science, Oman. And ma'am has published a pattern in automated mitigation of traffic congestion in handling uninterrupted travel of emergency vehicle using RFID and OTP. And ma'am has published 11 papers in international journals and 10 papers in international conferences. And she has attended various guest lecturers. And she has won the award of Employee of the Month award in the year March 2013, awarded by AN Muslim College of Technology, Oman. So now I'd like to hand over the session to Dr. Hemalata ma'am. Ma'am, please take over the session, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you for your warm welcome. I'll just share my screen. Okay. Welcome to the session. In today's session, I think my voice is clear, right? Is it clear, sir? I'm audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You can proceed.
Okay. So in today's session, I will be talking about introduction to transfer learning. Now, to begin with, what is transfer learning? Transfer learning is a special kind of machine learning technique. Why I call it special? Because if you take any general machine learning technique, you will be training your model from the scratch. Okay, you have different data sets. For each data set, you will be creating a new model and you will be training the model from the scratch. But transfer learning is not like that. Transfer learning is you are going to use the knowledge that you gained in task 1, you're going to use that knowledge in task 2. Let me give you an example. Suppose you know how to ride a bicycle and you want to learn how to ride a bike. Now you can use the knowledge of riding a cycle and you can quickly learn how to ride a bike. Yes, so this is called as transfer learning. The same technique is also used in machine learning. Okay, now let me give you some other example. See, for example, you have created a object recognition model. Okay, and now you want to create another model recognizing the face. You want to create a face recognition model. Now you need not start that work from the scratch because already you have created a model which is used to recognize the object. Now you can reuse that model or you can transfer the knowledge that you gained in object recognition model and you can easily create the second model. This is actually called as transfer learning. Now, can you use this transfer learning for all type of machine learning techniques? Mostly it is used for image classification task and natural language processing task. Okay. So now what is the use of transfer learning? You're going to use the knowledge that you have gained, right? So what is the use? You can quickly create your second task. The second task, you need not create a model from the scratch. You need not train from the scratch. Okay, you can quickly create your model number 2 because you're going to reuse the pre-existing model. So that is the first advantage of transfer learning. And you can improve the performance of your model. You can get better accuracy. You can avoid all the generalization errors because already that model is a high performance model. Already it is done. Already it is good. So you're going to use the same model again in a new task. So it's really very efficient using this transfer learning. Okay, sometimes in transfer learning, you will just reuse a model weights alone. Okay, weight is very, very important in machine learning because what is it knowledge? We are gaining a knowledge. I'm talking about knowledge, transferring knowledge. What is it knowledge? Knowledge is nothing but the weight that you have learned. Okay, so initially the machine learning model, it starts with a random weight. Yes, slowly when it learns the data set, it adjusts the weight according to the training, right? So finally, after the training, you get the correct weights. Okay, so now that weights are transferred to the second model. So you will just copy the weights alone and then you can use it in your second model. So this is what is called as transfer learning. Now this transfer learning is nothing but a model, I told you, right? So now this model is actually built on a benchmark data set. So all the transfer learning models that we're going to discuss today are created on a benchmark data sets. Okay, it means very large data sets. And those models are top performing models. Okay, so we will be shortly discussing about what are these examples of benchmark data sets. Okay, so when you use transfer learning in your problem, in your area of interest, now you are going to definitely reduce your time and you're going to benefit out of this transfer learning. Okay, now let me explain this idea with a diagram. So here you can see this is this one. Just a minute. Okay, so if you see, for example, this one is the first task. Okay, so you have created a convolution model, CNN model. Okay, so on the image classification task, so you get the output. So you have many labels. So the data set is very large. So you have many labels here. This is your model one. Now, what you do in transfer learning? See, transfer learning, you have a different data set. Here you have pictures of birds and all those things, and here you have some X-ray image. It's completely different from what you have done in task one, but still you are trying to reuse the same model. Okay, you're trying to reuse the same model, and what you will do is certain layers you will freeze. It means certain layers you will just copy paste from the previous models. Okay, because in convolution neural network, the initial layers are actually used to learn the basic features. Okay, for example, the edges, the colors. Okay, so only edge deductions. Okay, so only very basic informations will be learned by the initial layers of convolution neural network. So that initial layers alone we can use. But when you go deep down your convolution model, it will start learning more complex features. Okay, that layers you cannot use because the data set is completely different. See, in task one you have a picture of birds related to that, but in task 2 you have a different image, okay, which is not at all related to first one. So you cannot use the deep layers. Okay, you cannot use your deep layers, but still you can use your initial layers, because initial layers will be learning only general features. So those layers can be used, and you need not train those layers from the scratch, because already it is done, already it is trained. So what you can do, you can freeze those initial layers and you can add some new layers, and only the new layers can be trained on the new data set. Okay, so this is the example of, this is the idea of transfer learning. Okay, now I told you transfer learning are models which are created on a benchmark data set. The famous benchmark data set is your ImageNet. Now, if you take this data set, here you have 1,000 categories. It means 1,000 classes. Okay, 1,000 categories are there. And if you take the size of training data set and testing data set, training data set is around more than 1.2 million photographs are there. Okay, and testing data set is having more than 1 lakh images. Okay, such a big data set. Okay, the models which are developed on this image net data set only are called as transfer learning models. Okay, these models actually there is a competition, okay, called as ImageNet competition. So many people will be creating a new models on this data set. So the task that you have to do is image classification, deduction. Okay, that's what the task you want to do. Okay, so many people are creating new models, and shortly we are going to see some of the examples of those models. So this is one such database. Okay, the second database, benchmark database, is CAFAR database. So here you have 10 classes, and you have images around more than 60,000 images in the training data set and around 10,000 in the testing data set. Okay, some models are also developed on this data set, and the final benchmark data set is MINIS database. So this is handwritten digital numbers. So the models are also created on this data set. So when you create a model on very large data set, you have an option of learning. Okay, you have an option of learning more, and your network will be deep down, so you can improve the accuracy of your algorithm. Suppose you are working, suppose you are having a problem and your data set is very small, definitely you cannot create a good model because your data set is very small. You will face a problem called as overfitting. Okay, to avoid that, what you can do is you can reuse the model which was trained on a very large data set. Okay, I think you can follow me. You have a problem in your hand and your data set is very small. Okay, if your data set is very small, whatever model you create, definitely you cannot achieve good accuracy. Sometimes your model will be overfitting. So maybe accuracy will be 100. Okay, your model will be overfitting. You cannot do justification to that data set because the data set is very small. So in that cases, you can go to transfer learning. So what you can do, you can use your pre-existing model which was developed on a very large data set on your smaller data set. Okay, so it will give you a better accuracy. Maybe you can add some new layers, you can froze some layers, you can remove some layers, you can make some changes to the base model and create a new model from the base model. Okay, so this transfer learning is very, very useful. And these are the data sets on which transfer learning models are built. Okay, now there are many transfer learning models. I am not going to discuss all the models. Today, we are going to discuss only VGG. In VGG, you have two versions, VGG 16 and VGG 19. And then you have GoogleNet. Example for the model is Inception V3. And finally, we are going to discuss about residual network. You have mobile network, you have mobile dense network. So like that, you have many transfer learning models are available. Okay, so we are going to see the topmost models in today's session. And these are used for image classifications. Okay, you also have transfer learning in natural language processing area also that we will discuss at the end of the session. Okay, now let's discuss about the first model. Okay, the first model is VGG 16. Now, how this model is built? So I have shown you the architecture of this model. So here you have 16 convolution layers, you have 5 max pooling layers, and the input for VGG 16 should be 224 into 224, and it supports RGB image. Okay, so this network, okay, this architecture has approximately 138 million parameters, okay, to tune. Okay, such a large network is this. Okay, so this is your VGG architecture. Now let's see the next model, the Inception model. Okay, so there is some speciality about this Inception model. What is the speciality? Here, now you can see the image of the dog here. Yes, now these 3 pictures are dog pictures, but there is a difference in these 3 pictures. In the first picture, you can see the dog occupies the entire image. In the second picture, it is in the middle. Okay, the focus is on the middle. And the third picture, you can see the dog is on the corner, okay, of the image. Okay, so here for all these images, you cannot use a single filter size. Okay, the filter size should be different to capture the features of dog here. Okay, you cannot use the same filter size for all these 3 images. Okay, so when your data set is like this, then you have to go to a model called as what? Inception model. So in Inception model, you can see in the first layer itself, you have different convolution layers with different filter sizes. So here you can see 1 cross 1 filter, 3 cross 3 filters, and 5 cross 5 filters. Different filter sizes are used in the same layer. So this is a concept of Inception. Now this concept only is used in the Inception V3 model. Now this is the architecture of Inception V3 model. So here you can see the Inception module. See, this is an Inception model. So like this, 9 Inception models are used. Okay, and you will have around 22 layers, and in the final layers you will be having your dense layer, then your output layer. So this is the architecture of Inception V3. So it uses a concept of Inception modules. Okay, so I think you understand. So it based on your data set, you can decide which transfer learning models you have to use for your data set. Okay, the last model is the ResNet. Now, this is a concept called as residual network. Now, what does this concept tells you? See, for all type of images, you cannot, suppose, for example, you're creating a very deep neural network, okay, very deep neural network. For certain images, you need a very deep neural network. because the complex features of the image can be obtained only in the last layers, right? So for some images, you need your neural network really very, very deep. But for some images, after certain layers, the layer will not learn new features. Okay, so the algorithm will not have any improvement because after certain layers, it will not learn any new information. So sometimes you need a deep, very deep neural network. Sometimes you don't want such deep. Okay, so you should have an option to skip some layers, okay, depending upon the input. Okay, so that is a concept which is used in ResNet. So here you can see the input is directly sent the input is actually skipped here. You can see here the input is directly skipped here to the next layer. So it bypasses these two layers. Okay, so sometimes if you feel these two layers are not going to learn anything new, and then you can skip those layers. So this is a concept of ResNet. So now this is the architecture of ResNet 50 model. So here you can see there is a skip is there. So always there is a possibility that you skip some layers if you feel those layers are not useful to you. So here you have 50 layers in ResNet 50 architecture, and it was developed by Microsoft. And this is called as a residual model. Okay, so these are the three models. Okay, so now if you have a problem statement, okay, if you have a problem statement and you wish to use transfer learning, what are the steps you have to follow? Okay, so what are the steps you have to follow? The first thing is you have to select which model you want to use. Okay, so you have to obtain your pre-trained model. Is it very difficult to obtain? No, it's not difficult to obtain. It is available. All the models which are developed are available as a SDK, or it's available as an API. Okay, it's available in the library as a free, so you can just load it from the library. So it is there in Keras, it is there in TensorFlow, it is there in PyChart. It's available everywhere, so you can easily load those models, directly load those models. So you have to select your pre-trained model. After you select your pre-trained model, you have to create a base model. So I already told you, either you can use a model as it is, or if you feel that model is not able to detect the features of your new data set, then you can remove some layers and you can add some new layers. Okay, so you have to decide which is the base model, which are the layers you're going to copy from the pre-existing model. So those layers will be formed as a base model, and you have to freeze those layers because you're not going to train it, because already it is trained. You're going to use those layers as it is, so you will freeze those layers, and you can add some new layers based on your new data set, new layers, and then you can fine tune your model. It's not very easy to decide which layer to remove and which layer to add. It's not very easy. So you have to sit and fine tune. So it's a little difficult task to do that. Okay, so these are the steps involved in transfer learning. Okay, now these pre-trained models, you can use these models in 4 different ways. The first thing is you can use it as a classifier. So what do you mean by classifier? It means just I take the pre-trained model and use it to classify my image. Just I give an image and check what label it belongs to. So I'm not going to do any changes. I'm just using my pre-trained model to classify my data set. Now, when you can use it as a classifier, when my data set is very similar to the pre-trained model data set, then I can use it as a classifier. You need not do any changes to the pre-trained model. Okay, so this is called as, this is the first type, classifier. The second type is, what you can do is you can use your pre-trained model as a feature extractor. Okay, so what you can do, you can take some initial layers from the pre-trained model. Okay, you will take the initial layers, okay, first few layers, because in the first few layers, it will try to learn the general features from the data set. Okay, so you will take the first few layers, learn the features, okay, learn some features, that alone you use it in your new model. Okay, so that is possible. Or you can use an integrated feature extractor. You can also use it for feature extraction, and by adding some new layers, you can create a new model. or simply you can copy the weights from the pre-trained model. So there are 4 different ways in which you can use your pre-trained model. You can use it as it is, or you can use your pre-trained model just to learn the features of the image, or you can use your pre-trained model to get the features. Then to that you can add some new layers and you can do the process of training, or you can just use it as weight initialization. So there are 4 different ways. Now this picture will explain you much more clearly. So if you see in strategy 1, you see you take the pre-trained model and you retrain the pre-trained model from the beginning. So this one, it will take long time. It will take a long time because you're training it from the beginning. Okay, when you will do this, your data set is new data set, not related to the pre-trained model data set. Suppose I showed you an example in the beginning. Your pre-trained model data set was birds, okay, but you want to do it on some X-ray images. In that case, you have to train from the beginning. You're going to use the model as it is, but I'm going to do the training from the beginning. So either you will do the training fully, train the entire model, or what you will do, suppose your data set is a little similar, and you thought the initial layers I will keep as it is. In that case, some initial layers alone I will freeze. So I will freeze the first initial layers because already it has learned the weights. I will just retrain only the higher layers, the layers at the bottom. Okay, that layer only will be learning more complex features. So that alone I will be training. Okay, and the last strategy is if your data set is very similar, okay, your data set is very similar to the pre-trained model data set, in that case, I will freeze the entire model. Only I will change the output model. Maybe my pre-trained model has 1,000 labels, but now my data set has only 10 labels. Then I have to change my output layer. So that alone I will change, and that alone I will pre-train. So it depends upon your data set and how much feature you want to learn. Based on that, you can select which strategy you want to do. Okay, so here is a diagram which explains you much clearly about these strategies. If your data set is very large and it is completely different, then you have to retrain your full model. If your data set is completely different, then you have to train the model from the scratch. Okay, the only advantage here is the time will be more, but only advantage here is you need not create a model. You're just using the pre-trained model again. Okay, so you can save some time in creating the model, but your training, you have to spend time. Okay, the second set, if you see, they have a very large data set, but the data set is similar. In that cases, you can froze some layers. Okay, large data set, but similar to pre-trained models data set. In that cases, you can freeze some layers. It's similar, right? So no need to train it again. So freeze and train what are the new layers you want to do. Suppose if your data set is very small. I told you in the beginning, if you have a very small data set, definitely you cannot create a good model because your model will be overperforming, right? So you cannot create a good model. In that cases, what you're going to do, you're going to reuse the model which is already developed on a very large data set. So when you're reusing that model and your data set is completely different, in that cases also you have to train more models. So you have to add many new layers because your data set is completely different. So you have to add many new layers and you have to train all these new layers. And finally, if your data set is small and it's very similar, then you can freeze. The basic model can be freezed. You need not train it. You have to train only the prediction part. That is only the output part you have to train. Okay. The next one, here I have explained very clearly. So here you can see these are the layers which are copied from the pre-trained model. Okay, so I'm going to keep all the layers as it is. I'm going to freeze it because all these layers are learning only the general features. So I'm going to freeze all those things. Now, suppose the number of labels are not matching, then I will be removing some layers at the bottom. At the bottom, I will be removing some layers. So I can remove some layers. Definitely you have to remove because the number of labels may be different in your data set. So I have to remove and add some dense layers and add some output layer according to my number of classes. And then I will train my network, not from the beginning. I will just train only the last part. Okay, only this part I will be training. I will not be training from the beginning. Okay, so this is how we will be creating the model. Okay, now let me explain the codes. How to load a VGG16 model. Okay, so as I told you, VGG16 model is available as an API. It's available in the library Keras. Okay, so here you can see just import this model, and to load this model, just call this function. The model will be loaded. Now, when you can see the summary of the model to check how many layers are there. Okay, so this is the VGG16 model. This is how you have to load your VGG16 model. Now, when you're loading, I told you, definitely you have to remove your bottommost layer. That is your output layer you have to remove, because output layer will have the number of neurons equal to the number of labels you have. Okay, how many classes you have. Based on that only, you will be adding your output layer. So definitely for your problem statement, you have to create a new output layer. So when you load your VGG model itself, you can load the model without the output layer. So how to do that? By including the clause include underscore top equal to false. So when you give this, what will happen? The model will be loaded without the output layer. Now, I already told you in VGG16, the size of the image should be 224 cross 224 into 3. 3 is the RGB image. Suppose you want to change the input size based on your data set. Yes, you can do it. So here you can see you are reshaping the input for the VGG model. So when you load your model itself, you can specify what is the size of the new input. So when you're loading the model itself, you can give certain parameters. You can tell whether you want the output layer or you don't want the output layer, or whether you want the model along with the weights it has gained, or you want to train the model from the beginning. So from the beginning, if you want to train, you don't want the weights, right? So suppose you want along with the weights, then you can load along with the weights, or you don't want to load along with the weights. So it is your choice. So when you load the model itself, you can set all these parameters. Okay, now once you load the model, next important thing you have to do is you have to make your image ready for the model. Okay, for that you have to call preprocess underscore input function. So this function will make your image ready for the model. So once this is done, now you are ready to train your model. So here you can see the model is loaded without weights. So here you can see weights is equal to none. Okay, so suppose you want the weights of ImageNet, then here you have to give ImageNet. Okay, which weights you want. So based on that, you have to load here. Okay, so here if you give none, it means the model alone is used without the weight. So you have to train your model from the beginning to learn the weights. Okay, and okay, so this is how you have to load the Inception V3 model. So Inception V3 model is also available in Keras. Just call Inception V3, your model will be loaded. So as I already told you, when you load your model, you can tell whether you want the output layer or not, whether you want the weight or not, whether you want to change the input size. Everything you can specify when you want to load the model. How to load the ResNet? ResNet is also available in Keras. Just call ResNet 50, your model will be loaded. So loading the model is very easy. Okay, now suppose you want to use your pre-trained model as a classifier. So I told you classifier means just use that model and give a test image. It will help you to classify the image. So you're not going to add any new layers. You're not going to train your model from the beginning. You're not going to change anything to the model. Just you're going to use the model as a classifier. So how to do this? So here you see, for example, I'm going to classify my image. I'm going to give an image for dog. Okay. Image of a dog, and I'm going to check what is the label of this image. So I'm going to test my model. Okay, so I'm going to load the image, and I'm going to convert my image to pixels. Okay, and I'm going to reshape my image. You know, VGG16, the size of the image should be 224 into 224 into 3. So I'm changing the size of my image, and I'm making my image ready for my model. So once that is done, directly you can call predict. Okay, so after loading the model, so first you load the model. So I already showed you the code how to load the model, right? So after loading the model, just call predict and pass the image for which you have to predict the label. So it will give you the label directly. So here we are just using it. Okay, it's like ready-made. We are not doing any changes. Okay, so we buy a batter and directly make idli or dosa from the batter. So it's like that. So we just use a model, somebody who have already developed. We are just using that model for our data set. So this is an example for pre-trained model as a classifier. Okay, suppose you want to use your transfer learning technique to get the features alone. Okay, so for every machine learning model, what is important? Features are important, right? Only if it has features, it's able to predict. Suppose, for example, it's a dog, it should be able to predict. It should be able to identify where is the ears of the dog, nose, eyes, okay, the shape of the mouth, on which that only it can identify whether it is a dog or a cat or something else, right? So features are very important, okay? Suppose I cannot use my pre-trained model as it is, okay? In that case, I have to use my pre-trained model just to extract some features, maybe basic features, and later on you can add some new layers. Okay, so if you want to use your pre-trained model just to extract the features, in that case, what you have to do here you can see the model is loaded. Okay, the model is loaded here, and this is a input image of the dog. Okay, so all those steps we have already seen. We are converting, so I'm just going to get the features of this dog. Okay, I'm going to get I'm going to use my pre-trained model to get the features of the dog. So I'm loading the image, converting my image to an array of pixels, reshaping my image, pre-processing my input, and then loading the model. Now, when I'm loading the model, you can see BGG16 has how many classes? It has 1,000 classes. Okay, so here I don't want 1,000 classes. I want to detect only whether it is a dog or a cat. It means I want to change my output layer. My output layer will have only two neurons now because it has only 2 classes. So I have to remove my output layer. Okay, so here you can see how the output layer is removed. Okay, the output layer is removed here. So you can specify how many layers you want to remove from the last. Okay, 2 layers or 3 layers. So you can remove those layers. Okay, so when you remove the layer, you will not get any output because output layer is removed. Okay, so what is the output before the output layer? That means the features, only the features that is detected, that will be your output of this code. Okay, so just you will get the features. So here you can see model.predict. Now it will not predict what class it belongs to because we removed the output layer. So what will be the output of model.predict? This will just give you the features of the image. Okay, so it will just give you the features. So I can use my pre-trained model just to extract the features. So here I'm not going to predict anything. I'm just using it to extract only the features. This is one type. The next type is I will extract the features. After extracting the features, I will add some new layers to my base model, and then I will predict. So this is the next type. So here you can see I'm loading the model, okay, without the output layer. And then I am adding new layers to my base model. So this is your base model. This is your base model. To the base model, I'm adding some new layers. Okay. For example, I'm adding a flattened layer. I'm adding a dense layer. And again, I'm adding a dense layer. Okay. The number of neurons are 10. So number of neurons are 10. So I just use it. I just use my base model and add some new layers. Now here what you will be doing here, you will be training only the last 3 layers. The other layers you're going to use as it is. Okay, so if you want to use the other layers as it is, very important, you have to set this parameter to false. So here you can see layer.trainable is equal to false. So you have to specify you don't want to train the other layers. Okay, suppose specifically you want to make some layers only as not trainable, then you can use this command. Okay, get the layer by name and then set it to false. So those layers will not be trained. Only the newly added layer will be trained. Okay, so this is the one type. Okay, so this is how you will be using the transfer learning models. Okay, when transfer learning will not work. Okay, when it will not work, suppose if your bottom layers are not sufficient to extract the features of your new data set. As I already told you, BGG16 is developed on images, okay, like or some basic images. I want to use it for X-ray data set. No, it will not be, the final layers are not sufficient to detect the features. In that case, your transfer learning sometimes will not be creating a good accuracy. It will not be used, you cannot use it. I told you have to fine tune your transfer layer. So you have to know from which layers you have to remove, which layers you have to add. So in that case, you will feel the difficulty. The second one is the data set is completely different, not at all related to each other. Okay, for example, this data set is about the same example. This data set is about animals, and I wanted to use it on brains and MRI images. So it's completely different. In that case, also sometimes the transfer learning may be working very poorly. And so now what I do, I remove more layers from the transfer layers because my data set is completely different. So I remove more layers. So when I start removing more layers, then what will happen? The number of trainable parameters will be very less. In that case, your model will sometimes overfit. So this is a problem you face when you are using transfer learning. So okay, when I can use my transfer learning, you can use your transfer learning when your data sets are little similar. Okay, as I told you, you have created a model on image object detection. You can use a model for face detection. Okay, so if it is very similar, it will be very useful to use it will be very advantageous to use a transfer learning. Otherwise, what you have to do, you have to load your transfer learning and you have to fine tune your transfer learning model. Okay, so now I will just show you the code for how I used transfer learning for brain MRI classification. Okay, so just I will show you the code for this. Can you see my screen? Can you see my code screen? One second, let me share my screen again. Hope my screen is visible to you. Can you see the codes? Okay. So if you cannot see the code, just send me a message, okay? Okay, so this is a code for using transfer learning in MRI. Okay, so the first thing what I have done is, this is a data set. So the data set is available in the Kaggle. So here you can see brain MRI images for brain tumor detection. So this is a data set. Okay, the data set is available here. Now I want to download this data set to my Google Chrome. So the first block, I have written the code to download the data set from the Kaggle. So here, if you see, you can directly download your data set here by running this file. So you can see the data set here. Yeah, when you execute this code, it will ask you for a JSON file. Now, from where you have to get this JSON file? Suppose you have an account in Kaggle. So you have an account in Kaggle. I'll just click on account here. I'll have a token here. Create a new API token. So when I click this, a JSON file will be downloaded. Just I have to upload a JSON file here. I have to select the JSON file. It's a token to download the just upload the JSON file here. When you upload it, and then you can directly download. This is a to download the brain MRI images. So you can just download the brain MRI images. It's actually a zip file. So when you do this, your zip file will be extracted and your data set will be copied. So once this is done, now let's go into the main part. So the first main part is I'm going to use VGG16 for this brain MRI images. So you know the data set is completely different. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use few layers. Okay, few layers, the first few layers, because the first layers are actually used to learn the basic features. Okay, so I will be removing the last layer. Okay, so I'm just showing you some example. Okay, you have to fine tune. I have not fine tuned. You can fine tune. So here you can see I'm loading the VGG16 model. So here you can see VGG16 model with the weights. Okay, if you give none here, without weight, it will be loaded. So the first thing you have to do is you have to load your VGG16 model without the top layers. Okay, so without the output layer, because here you have only two classes, whether the tumor is there or tumor is not there, yes or no, you have only two classes. But in VGG16, you have 1000 classes. So you're going to remove the output layer. Okay, and this is the input shape. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set all the layers in the VGG16 as trainable as false. So I'm not going to train my model from the scratch. So I'm going to make all the layers as false. So here you can see this is a summary of the VGG16 layers. So here you can see there are from input layer to max pooling layer. See, I removed the output layers. Okay, the flattened layer, the dense layer, and the output layer, everything I have removed. Okay, so there are, you can see these are the layers available, and all the layers I made it as false. Means there will be no training happening in all these layers. Okay, now I'm going to, this will be my base model now. Now this will be my base model. Now I have to add new layers to my model. Okay, I have to add new layers to my model. So here you can see I take the base model. So this bottom model will be your base model. To the base model, I am adding the output layers. So I'm adding some global average pooling layers and adding some dense layers. And finally, I am adding the output layer. So here you can see the output layer, and number of classes will be only 2. So these are the new layers I am adding to my base model. Okay, so after adding these new layers, I am printing the summary. So here you can see these are the new layers. See, these are the new layers which are added on the base model. Okay, so here you can see global average pooling layer, dense layers. Okay, and the final layer is the output layer. Here you can see there are only 2 neurons. Okay, so this is my new model. Okay, so I took the base model, I added some new layers on top of this base model, and this is your new model now. So once the new model is ready, now you can you have the data set with you. You have to create, you have to divide that into X and Y. So X will be your image, Y will be your label. Okay, so that is done in this part of the code. So X and Y. So X will be the image and Y will be the label. So once that is done, you can see the data set. So this is your images. Okay, so you can see it's an X-ray MRI images of brain with tumors. So some are with tumors and some are without tumors. Yes and no. Okay, and here you are making it as training and testing data set. So you can see the percentage is 30%. So testing data set will be 30% and the 70% will be your training data set. Okay, and then the label is converted into categorical value. Okay, the S and no value, actually it is set to 0 and 1. So it is converted into categorical value. Now this is the shape of X train and Y train. So here you can see the shape of X train and Y train. Now you call compile. Okay, so here you have to specify what type of optimizer you want, what should be the loss function and what should be your metrics. And finally call the fit model to train your model and gives a number of epochs and all those things. So here you can see the model is trained on different epochs and you see the accuracy. Now this is not the best one. This is not the best one. So you have to tune more to your model, and you have to check whether the features that are learned are really correct. Okay, so you have to fine tune your model. Now this is the accuracy of the model. So this is the loss of the model. Okay, and here is the label. Okay, so mostly the prediction is correct. Mostly the prediction is correct, but still you can improve because there are much more greater accuracies are done with this data set. When you're using transfer learning, definitely you want more accuracy than the other models. So you have to fine tune your transfer learning model. As I already told you before, it's not an easy task. It's a very difficult task. So you have to correctly find out which layer, till which layer you want to use, okay, and which layer you want to remove and which new layers you have to add for your particular data set. Okay, so this is what is your transfer learning. Okay, now let's return back to the PPT. So here we have come to the we have come to the end of this presentation. So as I told you, at the end of the session, we will be discussing about how this pre-trained model is used in word embedding also. It's used in natural language processing. So in natural language processing, you all know you have to understand the language, yes? Any languages, okay? This is the machine should be able to understand the language. So for that, you have to build a language understanding system. Okay, for that you need lot of words, right? You need lot of words to train your model to understand the semantic of the words, So if you want to create a language understanding system, then you need a very large data set to train your model to understand the language. Yes, so you cannot do that from the scratch because you need a very large data set. For that, when you're working with natural language processing, it's very easy to use the pre-trained models, which is already trained on a very large data set. For example, these are the examples of transfer learning models that you have in natural language processing. Like you have Global Vector for Word Representation. It's created by Stanford. You have Google's Word2Vec. Okay, so this is trained on 100 billion words. So it will create a vector representation of all the words. So you know exactly what is the relationship between two words because it is plotted on the vector. Or you can use fast text. Okay, so these are some of the. There are many again here. These are the even Brett is also a pre-trained model. So, so these are pre-trained models which are available in natural language processing area. So, in your problem, if you are able to incorporate your transfer learning technique, definitely your model's accuracy and your training time can be reduced. Okay, hope you understood the concept of transfer learning. With this, my presentation is over. If you have any questions, please. So you have any questions?
Participant, if any doubt, please raise the hand or otherwise put the chat box. In your question, you put the chat box. Please kindly put the your question to the chat box. So participant, if any doubt, you unmute your mic, you ask the question. Renuga ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am, audible, ma'am.
Sir, hello, ma'am. I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, I've been working with this transfer learning approach also, ma'am. Ma'am, I have a doubt, ma'am.
Okay.
So, suppose if we take a model, pre-trained model, and we apply our own data set to it for classification, and suppose we didn't get an expected accuracy from the model, what we can do is we can remove some of the layers and then we can add few more layers. When we do that, the model has completely changed, and can we consider it as our model, or can we name it as another model?
Actually, I think we cannot name it as our model. We have to specify that we have used transfer learning. We cannot give it as a new model name, I suppose, because I have seen in many papers they reuse the transfer learning model. I'm not very clear whether you can give your own name for that.
Okay. Or else we can just say that the model is been modulated, or
yeah, we have to specify. We have used the pre-trained model. We have to specify that we have used the pre-trained model, but we have fine-tuned, because fine-tuning was also a big work, ma'am. It's not very easy. So you can make it as a big work, but you have to specify that you have used that model.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, I just wanted to know one thing, ma'am. How can we get activation maps, ma'am, from already pre-trained model? Like some occlusion sensitivity, some functions are there wherein we can find out which part of the image will contribute more in the classification. Okay.
You want to know what, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. So we have.
You want to calculate the accuracies?
No, ma'am. I just want to ask you one thing, ma'am. Like when classification is done, most of the features of the image will be contributing, no, ma'am, in classification. So I just want to highlight it with some different colors or with different some indications wherein I can find out this part of the image has contributed more in classifying.
More to the classification, yeah. So you want to know the technique for that?
Yes, ma'am. I'm trying very hard, but I'm unable to get it, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. Can you send me your mail ID, ma'am? I will just send you if I have some materials related to that.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Definitely.
Just share your mail ID in the chat, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I've been working with MATLAB, ma'am.
Oh, MATLAB. Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
ma'am.
Because I have not worked with MATLAB.
Okay, but functions are a bit similar, ma'am, in Python and
Similar,
MATLAB.
yeah, with Python, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
let me see and send you some related materials
yeah, ma'am,
for that,
please.
ma'am. Just share your mail ID in the chat, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, chat message is not available, ma'am.
Let me check with. Yeah. I also.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah. Yes,
Sir?
yes, sir.
Renuga ma'am, you put in your mail to me, right? I will forward to ma'am, right?
Sir, shall I put it in WhatsApp group, sir?
Okay. Yes, ma'am. You put in the WhatsApp. Okay.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I will be looking forward to it.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Yeah, ma'am.
Any other more question? Participants, if any doubt, please unmute yourself, right? To ask the question to ma'am. Rajesh, P. Rajesh. Sir, I have allowed. You have unmute your mic, right? You ask the question. Already I allowed to you. Okay, or otherwise you put the chat. Okay, I will type the question. Okay, sir. We are waiting, right? You type the question.
This new object data set creation is still ongoing. I could not clearly understand the meaning of the question.
Yes.
Trained data set.
Sir, Rajesh sir, please, I allow to you, right? Please, you unmute your mic. Then you talk to him, sir.
Do you mean the creation of benchmark data sets, sir? I could not clearly understand the question. Benchmark data set? Yeah, it's a competition, sir. Every time they release a benchmark data set and they ask people to participate in that competition, the people will be creating new CNN models or different models on the benchmark data set. It's a competition, so you have to compete with other people and show a very good accuracy on the benchmark data set. The companies will be releasing, like Google, Microsoft, will be releasing some benchmark data sets. So you can search in net to see about that competition. Like you have competition in Kaggle, right? Like that you have a competition for this ImageNet.
Any more question from the participants? No. Nice presentation. Ma'am, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you,
once
sir.
again, I thanks to Dr. Hemalata ji, ma'am, to accepting my invitation, right? Thank you. Once again, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. So all the participants, 15 minutes break. After 15 minutes, kindly join same link, right? Next session start from 10:45.